Hi there, Dan Kerr's DK Analytics. It's October 14th, 2015. We'd like to draw to your attention that we have just published a post on assaulted under attack property rights. It's a third installment in a series of 3 posts on this topic. The first one centered around fiat money and printing press related damage to property rights for anybody other than the banksters at the top of the food chain. The second one took a close look at the whole global warming demagoguery, which has been foisted upon us by leftist despots and green crony capitalists, 2 strange bedfellows harming citizens' property rights and economic future. And a third, this current one, which I'd like to draw to your attention, deals with massive immigration waves into Western welfare states from the rest of the world. We all know that we have tremendous uproar and tragedies in the Mideast, barbarism, war, strife, threats that have families on the run for food, shelter, and simple preservation of life. But we also have lots interwoven into this, lots of economic opportunists that are seeking Western shores, and we find that Western welfare states, contrary to what used to be the case, issues a pretty blank check in terms of welfare benefits to immigrants that really haven't contributed into the entire social welfare safety net over, in most cases, decades. In other words, they haven't been workers, they haven't been part of the society. None other than Milton Friedman said this very simply, but right on the money. You cannot have welfare state with open borders. Western states used to welcome immigrants based upon what they could bring to the party, and they did, and everyone benefited, both the immigrants and those Western nations that brought them on board. But with our current welfare state system being, in most cases, unconstitutionally extended on to immigrants that haven't contributed into the country's pot for up to decades, we now have a situation where Western states, which frankly are having tremendous issues themselves, whether it's debts, whether it's deficits, whether it's unemployment, whether it's declining rule of law or misallocations. In other words, the Western nations are not on a solid wealth of nations trajectory, and they can't very well afford to be weighed down unduly by immigration waves that threaten not only the finances but the culture of a nation, the identity of a nation. And we're no longer assimilating, we're in essence balkanizing and allowing these immigrants to sustain separate languages and cultures. And that's not in keeping really with the recipe that worked in the past for everyone concerned, very much the immigrants to Western nations. So what our recent post does, it looks at this, it looks at the large change as of 1965, thanks to the Hart-Celler Act in the United States, which shifted the whole dynamic from contributing to, in essence, being a welfare recipient. We have similar situation in Europe. We're losing these countries in terms of their identity, their culture, their language, their tolerance, their finances, and also employment is not going to do well, as one could guess, with such a massive influx. And we're also looking at this from the perspective, frankly, of investors. If we cannot get leaders in Western nations to represent the citizens and the interests of the citizens first and foremost, then we need to protect ourselves, invest accordingly. And we, as you know, are on board for the sake of Main Street, not Wall Street, not the cronies on K Street, and not the increasingly unconstitutional, unrepresentative leaders that we have in government that are tending to the store for everybody else other than the people for which they are actually supposed to be in service. So without any further explanations or discussions, I'd like to turn your attention to dkanalytics.com. It's in our blog section. It's the 10th post on this very topic. We welcome constructive criticism. We hope you find the post of interest. And with that, I'm going to say over and out.